pay my taxes, I'm saying.
Well, I'm one of those people that would forget to pay the shit things.
They'll remind you, I'm pretty certain.
I know, but I don't like being reminded.
All right, we'll call the finance meeting to order. Today is July 11th, 2024 at 6:30. Can we have roll call, please?
Michelle DeMalt, Bob Pangborn,
Here,
Corey Harrer,
Here,
All right, Michelle's absent, so I'll take over the meeting for finance. I do want to go over our budget, because that right there is one of the things that we have to pass at council tonight. But we'll run through all the other things. So all the documents that you guys have been given the cash journal, the summary by fund, fund ledger, fund status, payment listing, revenue status, appropriation status, bank rec, and NSF report. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
yes.
And are there any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Corey made the motion to approve, second by?
Second it.
Seconded by Bob. All in favor say
Hey.
aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, and then the approval of the minutes for the June 13th, 2024 meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review those? And if so, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Corey made the motion, second.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, nothing under old business. New business, Resolution 711-2402, which is a supplemental appropriation, will be presented to council. And that is for,
I still have the same ordinance. That one, the next one for the tax budget is Jason, that's a resolution, and
Yep.
I apologize. It says ordinance on your minutes,
Mhm.
or your agenda. Three.
that right there is adding $3,000 into the special duty that you guys approved last month for the month of June. General fund, again, $5,000 for professional technical services for the cost for the mayor's court. $500 increase for the Festival Queens. We didn't know what to budget them, so we just plugged in $500. They're going to surpass that this weekend, so we're just going to add another $5,000, but we shouldn't have to add any more. Again, because we don't know, it's just, we're going to add $500. It'll be a total of $1,000. Permissive, $3,000, and that's supplies to use along the highways. Mayor's Court Fund, $1,200 for equipment. Mayor's Court Fund, $1,000 for office supplies and materials. So, and again, that's the revenue we're receiving from Mayor's Court is buying that equipment and office supplies. Following revenue to be approved, court costs, $3,000 for the Mayor's Court, $600 and $400 respectively, and those are for your computer funds. That's what we will present to council. Any questions on those? Okay. And then the big one, that's probably where we'll spend most of our time, is the tax budget. Resolution 711-2403. On your sheet, it says ordinance 711-2401, and that's incorrect. And this is for 2025. This is the budget that we have to prepare, send to the county. They will go through, review it, comment on it, and then they will send back in probably September another form to fill out to finally approve the budget for our tax statuses. But this is basically what we build our operating budget on for 2025 that it's due in December. Again, you know, we'll tweak it. I'm not going to go through all the details because I think we've been through all the details enough. But overall, this is kind of where we're at between all of our different accounts, general fund, things like that. One thing to note in Mayor's Court, this Mayor's Court will only include the computer fees because by state law they have to be under their own account. The other court fees that we currently are using this account for, we found out should be going to general fund. Or when I say should, it's easier. You can either run it through Mayor's Court and at the end of the year net out those fees and move it over to general fund to spend your money, or it's just easier to put it directly in general fund so you can use it as you need it. So that's kind of what we've done for next year. As you can see, our carryover is again dwindling. You know, each year it gets smaller and smaller because our costs keep going up and up. But, you know, we're still hanging in there. We have no large projects coming up other than possibly Walnut Street, where we applied for the grant to do work there, and we had a local cash of, what is that on there, 21,000? However, the first round, we were not approved, so we're out of it for round one. There is a second round. I think by the end of this month we'll find out. But that's really the only major project we have coming up. So, you know, for right now, I think we're going to like stand down on major projects and, you know, kind of finish these ones up and start building back up our cash. So that's kind of where we're at with all that. You know, with the increases that we did do in water, hopefully by next year we're seeing a little bit more. Because remember last year that was like next to nothing. So, you know, we're recouping some of that money. It's still not at the levels that the state thinks that we should be for that type of fund, but, you know, we're there. But that's kind of where we're at. Basically, this right here is our carryover. This is, when I first started as mayor, we all agreed that 10% is like our magic number for carryover. Carryover is savings in our normal language. And this just kind of shows you what that 10% would be and what the difference is, you know, how short we are of it based on this. So, you know, we're not carrying over our 10%, so we can see that goal. All right. Any questions on that? One thing in general fund I do want to point out on this is I do have budget lines for paying police officers next year. And this right here is what's probably going to happen. So police salary includes the chief and 2 part-time officers. The chief, he wants his OPMF funds, which is his retirement through the state, paid into. The only way to get that, he actually has to have a salary. You can't just make something up and say, here. He has to get a check for this to work. He's willing to, whatever his net is, donate that back to the village into the general fund. So even though we have $43,000 out, that's not his entire salary. There's still, you know, the 2 part-timers, which is about $16,000. The guesstimate on what that payout would be is about $21,000, and we got that showed coming back in as a donation. Yeah, right there. So I'm showing it going out and coming back in. He's okay with that. Again, the 21,000, you know, that was just a rough number that we can come up with based on his salary and what we think everything's going to be, because there could be some changes in the rate over the next year for that fund for his retirement. Right now it's 19%, I believe, and there's talks about making it more next year. So it could change some. That's really the only big change in our budget for next year, other than costs keep going up. Now that we've kind of talked about that, I do want to talk about our needs. So let's start with the water fund. Right now, all of our debt is carried through the water fund, which is fine. We're allowed to do that. The water tower is going to add additional debt in 2026 of $12,000 per year of what our payments will be. Normally, we go through, recalculate things, and then do an increase in the water bill type thing. What I'm proposing is, and it will help us too with grants, because since we don't have a debt service account, technically that water money is used for anything. It's not guaranteed for loans. And sometimes people get like freaky about that, like there's no secured money.
Yeah.
So we would go ahead and create a debt service fund. It would be added to your water bill, similar to what Walnut Creek does, and the debt service charge would be $775 per month per bill. Whether you're commercial, residential, whatever. It would just be per bill, per unit, however we want to do that. And what that would do is that would raise all the money to cover all of our debt plus this additional debt that we'll have in 2026. And then our normal water bills would only go up 3%. Again, they're technically going up more than 3%, but what the water account would see would only be that 3% increase. And what I think is nice about it is, as our debt adjusts, whether we incur more debt, we pay off debt, we can play with that 775
Bless you.
Bless type thing. So there's all kinds of possibilities with that. So that's something that I just want to introduce to people. We don't have to make that decision now because that's something we need to talk about. But we got to make sure that we can cover the debts, and make sure that we're still making money on our water plant, because that is an enterprise fund.
This is my cataracts are in the way. Do you have that compiled, what that would come, 775? What do you got that down as earning?
The earning on that would be 18,000, or sorry, 31,248
A year?
a year. And then our current debt per year is 18,000, which would let us carry over to 2025 the 12,600, which will start covering the payments that come up in 2026. So it's the exact dollar amount we need to cover our debts now and our future.
And if we don't do that, then we just have to increase everybody's water
You have to
bill.
increase water, no matter what,
20%.
you have to increase water rates, but this way.
But it would be more if we didn't do this.
More than 3%.
Yeah,
That's
it'd be
what I
more than-
mean.
Yes, it'd be more than 3%, yes. Because we would still have to cover our debts. And again, all of our costs keep going up.
Oh,
Because I've done a calculation, I'll kind of go into that a little bit here later. Because we also want to talk about our income taxes. Any questions on that before I go into income taxes? So this right here is basically what the water and the debt service would look like using 2025 numbers, pretending that we have this passed. So our water account would be able to generate and carry over 24,000, which is where it used to be years ago, or where we used to have it a few years ago, I should say. And then all of our debt would be definitely paid out of this. And looking at every other village does it this way, because again, when you're going for loans, they like to see that you have an account just for debt service. That way they know it's secured. Because again, that money cannot be used for anything else legally. It has to be for debt and debt only. So then the next thing is,
So
Yeah.
we would probably start that at the beginning of 2025 then, like when we change the rates?
possibly, yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
what we decide to do, okay.
The one good thing about it right now, we essentially have a year and a half before we have to start making that next big payment. So we have time to play around with it. But again, I don't want to wait until the very last second, because one, it'll help us get some money in that account, so when that first payment's due, we actually have all the money to cover that payment, versus rob Peter to pay
Right.
Paul.
Be like kind of head
Yeah.
type thing, yeah.
So, again, this is kind of the same chart I showed you on that other tab with all of our numbers, and here's all of our carryover again. It's not where we need to be. I reached out to Rita end of last year, so end of 2023. They have all their 2019 data available, meaning everyone's taxes have been paid, they've given all the refunds, so like they're good numbers. So they took a couple scenarios based off the 2019 data of what additional income we can get for different changes. So basically my question was, if we add 1% more, what kind of money would that generate? So that would be this right here with no credit. And then 3 different options of 100% credit on 1%, 100% credit on 1.5%, or 50% credit on 2%. So they broke it out that way. So they were able to tell me some estimates based on the 2019 data, what we'd be able to generate. So if we do no credit, means everyone sees a 1% tax increase. It would help us generate, based off the 2019 data, an additional 116,000. Now, just comparing these to current data, it's about a 25% difference. So, that 116 would be about 130-ish, 140-ish, something like that. The 100% credit up to 1% would generate about 66,000. 100% credit on 1.5 would be 47,000. The key thing to point out here is some people would actually see a reduction in their income taxes, because we would actually be crediting 0.5% based on their current tax valuation for income. Because you're paying 1% now, and we would credit 100% up to 1.5. So if you fit that definition, you would not pay as much taxes. So there's some relief in that. And then the 50% with 2% could possibly generate 72,000. Again, based on 2019 data, and by my calculation, there's about a 25% increase in today's value. And I did do some number crunching here. Try to see, I'm not sure if this helps. But basically taking all those scenarios, dumping that into the general fund, additional revenue, like what would that dollar amount look like? And so this is the credit, 50% credit up to 2%. So we would we'd be able to carry over about $74,000, which is where we, more than where we need to be, I guess. This one right here is the 100% credit up to 1.5%. This gets us close to where we need to be with a 12% carryover at 49,000. And then the other one, 100% credit, 1% is a carryover of 68,000. And again, this is just pretending everything's going in the general fund and using 2025 numbers against those 2019 numbers. So that's what it would get us to and allow us to start carrying over. And again, we talk about wanting to do more and also, grant funding, making sure we have funds available to do grants and not have to wipe out our checking accounts, which we're not there yet. And I don't want to use the word yet, but we're not there, but,
Don't want to be there.
we don't want to be there, but we still want to, again, without grants, we can't improve nothing. We don't have the money, and we need our local shares. So does all that kind of make sense? So Michelle, what I was going over is the budget, the tax budget, and looking at the numbers, just high level, at the very appropriation level. Like our carryover is, again, same as this year, it's nothing. Costs keep going up everywhere. We're at the point now we either need to stop doing things or we need, find other ways to get income. So I reached out to Rita for one thing, kind of got this information, so that way, but it's 2019 data, not current data. And then kind of just plug that into the different scenarios to kind of show what it looks like.
So can you explain to me 100% credit? I don't think I
Okay.
understand it.
Well, so,
I pay 1%.
one thing is, anytime we talk about tax money, I'm not a certified accountant.
No, I get it,
I don't know your exact tax situation.
I get it.
You may tell me 1,000 things, but one little thing can throw everything off. But
General.
simple definition is for the 100% credit to 1%. So you would get, so if we would pass it, or the village, we don't actually pass it, so this will have to go to the voters. If they would pass, an extra 1%, and let's say you made $100,000 a year, that means you're paying $1,000 or $2,000 in income tax. Let's assume that where you work, you also pay 1%. You'll get credited up to that 1% because you're paying it to another municipality. So you would get a 1% credit, so $1,000 credit essentially.
So basically, the money that I would be paying to Columbus would
We
be
would
a
credit you.
credit.
Yes, up to that 1%.
I understand it now.
Yeah, but now if you only got 50% or 0.5% at Columbus, you wouldn't get the full percent from Pleasantville. You'd only get that 0.5%.
Right, I got it now.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you were here when I was going over this. In these three scenarios, like, to me, the best one is the 100% credit up to 1.5, because actually some people would see a deduction in their income taxes, depending on their tax situation. Of course, when I say lose revenue, we're not losing revenue, but,
Still in a good place,
Yes.
it's just not as good as if we were to go to.
well, and it also helps out people, and again, everyone's taxes is different. It does help some people relieve some taxes,
So basically now we pay 1%,
1% straight.
but for instance, when she's talking about Columbus, I pay Columbus it's 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
So you would get,
Yeah, so wouldn't I pay the village less? So you
Yes.
guys would lose money. So
Possible.
would that really benefit?
Yeah, well, yes, because, so really so you have your regular individual, your
Yeah.
withholding, and your net profit. Basically, with these increases, based on these other definitions, you're making your money off of your withholding, which is the people that work at Pleasantville. And then anyone's net profit from a business. So that's where you're seeing your real in your individual, again, you're not seeing as much, because yes, people are getting credits for different things. People get the most credit here from that one.
And I think that, I think the 1.5%, 1.5% would feel a little bit better in people's mouths. So that like, it would feel better
Yes.
than 2%.
Well, again, it's trying to look at what's fair.
Cause I don't think we get a credit now for,
We don't.
we as a municipality
Yeah.
when I do my taxes.
No, for Pleasantville, it's all straight 1%.
So we'd be changing it to where we would get credit.
Give credits, yes. Yeah, but it would also be with a tax increase.
Right.
Type thing, and again, 2019 data, numbers there, and kind of what that would look like. And again, we're not doing anything about this tonight, it's just,
Right.
when we're
Just
talking about budget,
discussing it.
I need to start telling you, like, we gotta look at different revenue sources. Cause really, we can't cut costs anywhere, because we do everything at the bare minimum now. We do well with that, but we're getting down to the point where our carryover is, next to nothing. So,
So we have to start, I mean, if, in the tax revenue, if it was passed, would go to general fund.
it would go, yes, my suggestion, is the tax ordinance would say that. My suggestion is always put any tax money in general fund, that way it can be used anywhere.
That's what
Because if you say it just goes to, then I'm just gonna throw this out here, let's just say, well, whatever you can, it's an enterprise fund, but police. It can only be used for police, we don't need that much money for police, so it just sits there, it's not being
My
used.
fear is that we just don't have that many businesses, and we have to like,
Well, but almost every village is probably looking at this right now, because I looked at everyone's budgets, everyone is in the same boat we are right now,
yeah.
there's not enough revenue.
No, I know, I
Yeah.
just feel like credit,
Yeah.
I feel. I'm just fearful that a lot of our income tax comes from personal,
Well, here's the thing.
because we don't have that many.
Yeah, well, but this is true numbers based off 2019. So this takes into consideration everyone's individual filing for that year. So this is actually from Rita themselves.
Gotcha.
So, and I'm gonna tell you, any number that they've given us up to this has usually been spot on, like, no big difference.
But isn't their total saying 66,000 for the 1%, and then we're down to 47,000?
Yes, because up here with that larger credit, we end up, when I say losing money we go on the negative side of that extra 1%. Am I explaining that right?
I think you are, I just guess I still can't wrap my mind around.
We're getting an increase, just not 100% of the increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all this,
A lot of corporations, a lot of people that work out of, not in Pleasantville, for instance, Ohio Health, I used to pay my 1%, write a check for my 1%, and pay Columbus. Well, a lot of corporations now are recognizing that their people are going home, so they're changing. So I don't get Columbus taxes taken out of me, I only get Pleasantville taxes taken.
because you work full-time for Pleasantville.
Right,
Yeah.
so they're taking they did it for 30,000 employees
Yeah.
of Ohio Health.
And what I would do, and this is another, what I would suggest we do, like if we're actually seriously considering this, we actually call Rita and have one of the representatives come down, talk through it, that way it's more of a tax expert here to go through the what ifs and all the questions, because again, this was a generic question I asked them with limited data back,
Yeah.
type thing. And then just for reference, since they're using the 2019 numbers, I did pull our budget for 2019. This is what our budget used to look like. We used to spend then about $600,000, and now we're up to $998,000, almost $1 million. That's 40% increase, but everyone's homes has went up 40.
Right.
The unfortunate side is, your electric bill is, well, I'm gonna use mine. My electric bill this month was $270 some. Again, that's for all my air
Run
conditioning.
everybody's household's going up about.
Yeah, exactly.
Mine was 150.
But our water plant, it's a $10,000 a year electric bill, and it's gonna keep going up, things like that. Our street
Well, I
lights.
definitely believe it's everything's going up. I guess I just can't wrap my mind around if they wipe out, like, somebody like me, like the tax with the 1.5.
Yeah.
How that's gonna help us.
Yeah.
I guess, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well-
You know what I mean, like if it's,
In your situation, again, I don't know your tax situation, but it'd be like, essentially you wouldn't owe the village any taxes, income tax, possibly.
right, that's what I'm saying,
Yes,
but it's,
but not
that
everyone
seems
fits.
like it wouldn't help the
But if
village.
you feel bad about it, we'll take your money.
Yeah,
But here's the
No,
thing,
but
is
I'm just
that
trying
I
to
will
say
owe
if
the
we're
whole
trying-
amount.
yeah,
But I know what you're saying there, I'm just trying to say like, those people that live here probably don't work here.
correct.
You know what I
But
mean?
not everyone that works here pays into another place that pays taxes.
Yeah,
And that's kind of how they get up that number, because,
I guess that's true, and so you're just thinking their incomes went up since 2019, so
Yes.
more than like.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. Because I pay Whitehall taxes and Pleasantville taxes, and Whitehall is three,
Yeah, see, I pay Columbus.
yeah, 3.25, I think now, plus the Pleasantville tax.
I always paid Whitehall, hated it.
Yeah,
And it's the same thing, Dave pays Columbus and
Yeah.
pays Pleasantville.
I used to until they fixed it.
but that's kind of the thought process behind that. And again, it's, because we're on the cuff now of, we're not gaining money, we're not allowed to say savings, it's carryover money, it's essentially our savings.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to, we are not saving enough money to pay for future development. So like, for next year, I was explaining, we're not gonna start applying for any grants anymore, any major grants, because we don't have enough local share for that. So that's kind of where we're at, and again, we wanna continue doing stuff like that. Any questions on it? So again, this will be a council to pass for the budget, not taxes or anything, so. All right. So if there's nothing else, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
You gotta do all your bank recs and
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a
Just
motion.
gonna-
Sorry.
Corey made the motion, seconded,
I'll second it.
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed?
6:57.
All right, so
Do you want me to stop that or just let it keep going?
just let it go, we got 2 minutes.
Everybody's told me that today.
I did.
I just washed it and brushed it.
Oh, looks nice.
Good.
The humidity's working for you today.
It's a little ratty right now. My hair's super straight, so when it gets humid, it does this weird wave thing, but it gets like angry.
Yeah. Well, looks nice, thank you.
No, and our CDs do mature, not all of our CDs, but 2 of the 100,000 and 1 of the 50,000. So the 200,000 gain 2,053, and then the 50,000 gain 1,026.
In a month.
No, that's for the 6-month term.
That's good.
She's got walking number, yeah, we just found out today.
Is it gonna stay where it's at?
No, we're gonna pull all that money out. So we also have that $400,000 CD that matures next month. But that money is to repay back the bank note
Right.
for the 800 and some thousand. And we'll kind of regroup and see where we're at financially with what we want to reinvest.
No, we're gonna try not to. They got on antibiotics and steroids, we started them tonight. That's why I was up there dealing with her.
Yeah, I don't think the fireworks are put on the agenda.
Hmm?
That fireworks thing you gave me, I don't think it's on the agenda.
The what? The fire stove.
No, 'cause
Oh,
you
well,
just-
no, because it went to,
I was gonna say, it just went to them.
It's
you
just
didn't
gonna
get
go
it
to me
me.
for us, we're gonna,
yeah, they
Okay.
got to do something with it.
I thought I
Yeah.
forgot something.
This is the minutes that I just need you to sign, that's for finance. This will be yours when they've signed for this meeting.
Yeah.
And then I'll give you all my ordinances, that way you can just sign them, because we needed 2 of those.
Mhm.
And then these are your 2, I don't know if you're doing these tonight or not, these are your second sign on these. The burn,
Okay.
Well, we didn't do,
Got lots of
or
ours
did
in my
we
name.
set that aside? Because we didn't do it last month.
Yeah,
Did we set it aside?
Well-
Would we table it?
we gotta figure it out.
Okay.
I think it did,
And
because I think it
then-
went back to that.
Right of ways,
Yes,
we're sitting on him?
yep. So we have yours.
Okay.
How are you guys? Good, how are you? Good. If I could have you sign in on that sheet, that first one, right there, please. Thank you. Are there nice copies of the agenda if you'd like, right beside the
Need to wash my glasses. Oh,
How you doing, Bill?
Hey, I'm good.
Good.
Does this heat bother you? Does this heat bother you?
How are you?
Yes, how are you?
Good.
That's good.
Oh, no, not uniform,
Or you.
Remind me on the shuttle, please. She's just showing us like certain kinds of.
She said to 8 feet of some sort, so you don't have
It's easier to do that, I know.
So it could be either one.
Yes.
You're in one. Thank you.
Oh.
Yeah, stop it.
So much more streamlined now.
Have fun.
Streamlined.
All right, we'll call this meeting to order. It is 7:02 PM on Thursday, July 11th, 2024. If everyone would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we have roll call, please?
Mayor Henderson,
Present?
President Dumont,
Present.
Councilman Mason,
Here.
Councilman Pingler,
Here.
Councilman Carrier, here, Councilman Morton, here, Councilman Henry.
Here.
All right. Can I have a motion to approve the regular council meeting minutes from June 13th, 2024?
I make a motion. I'll second it.
Okay, Bill made the motion. Sarah second. Roll call?
President Dumont,
Yes.
Councilman Mason,
Yes.
Councilman Pingler,
Yes.
Councilman Carrier, yes, Councilman Morton, yes, Councilman Henry.
Yes.
All right, next we'll go into public input. Does anyone from the public have anything? Mhm.
As you know, I was here last month,
Mhm.
and we were discussing permits and the situation that was going on with my situation. We had a talk afterwards. So I was not getting any responses back from the zoning inspector, so I sent the $10 application fee in and filled out the application
Mhm.
form, and it was cashed on June 21st.
Mhm.
Well, okay, so rather than to get into a whole bunch of stuff, Pleasantville zoning ordinance, section 32C says, within 30 days after receipt, the application shall either be approved or disapproved. I have had one contact from the zoning inspector, July 8th, since May 23rd.
Okay.
That's not acceptable to me. So, but anyway, so I'm sure that it was received, my application was
Yes.
received on the 17th,
Yes, it was.
on a Monday. So I'm assuming that by the 17th, something will have taken place.
Bear with me one second. Where's it at? And I'm sorry, bear with me one second. You're 101 Pleasant Court, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, I never told you 101.
No, that's fine. I kind of knew what it was. All right, so we got that on, the application was turned in on June 17th, right?
Yes.
Yes. And that one, it's in process. That's what I can tell you.
All right, but
Okay.
it's a 30-day
Yes.
thing.
Yes, 30 days applies.
Okay. Is
Yeah,
that-
and right now we have been getting them out in 30 days. So I think you were here last month and we kind of talked about how our zoning inspector works a full-time job,
Well, I didn't hear that part, but
Okay.
I'm assuming that.
and full-time job not with us, like she works a 40, 60-hour job somewhere else and does this kind of on the side when she, I don't want to say when she gets a chance, but she's not in the office every day, so,
But again, we also talked about professional courtesy,
yes.
and that
Yes.
didn't happen either. So-
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Did,
not really her fault.
did,
What's that?
That's your zoning inspector full-time job, I mean, that's really, she should.
No, but I want to make sure, because some people think we have a full-time staff for everything. She's not in the office every day, maybe once a week type thing. And she does zoning, she also does property maintenance and community watch. So she does 3 different things for the village.
and until an application for a zoning issue is put in, it doesn't go on the list, right? So even if something happened in May and she's, if I called someone in May and asked for something, it doesn't happen until an actual application is put in.
Okay, but that's
Then it
not
goes
what
on
was
the
told to me
list.
the same day that I sent her an email, so no.
Right, I'm not
That's
saying you
what
were
was said to me.
told, I'm not saying, I'm just saying, what the policy is that it's 30 days from the application time. So, and what Mayor Henderson is saying is that something should happen by July 17th, which is the 30 days from when the application is submitted.
Because for awareness, last month when you were here, they all got approved on the 30-day mark. I mean, that's just where we're at right now with what's going on.
Okay, so my next,
Mhm.
do you mind if I just?
No,
here?
Go ahead.
My next question then is, if that's the case, she keeps asking me when I'm available. I'm retired, I'm
Mhm.
available 24/7.
Okay.
Except for I'm not gonna be out at night.
Yeah,
I'm available.
okay.
She needs to tell me when she's available if she's that busy,
Mm.
because I'm not gonna sit here for 12 hours a day and get no response like I have for 7 weeks.
Okay,
So that's my,
okay.
so if you could relay that, too.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, anyone else for public input? Do you guys have anything?
We're just here to see kind of what's going on.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure, like, this is the opportunity, so
We're observers at this point.
that's fine. All right. Just for awareness, once we get into the official meeting, we prefer no interjections type thing. So again, like, now's the time to discuss anything that you might have.
Do you offer up a follow-up afterwards for, like, if we, because again, we're new to this. We
Yeah.
moved here 2 years ago. We've never been to one of your
Yeah.
meetings. We've been trying to make it, too busy working. We wanted to kind of see how it goes, what
Yeah.
goes on in the meetings, because obviously a lot of things have
Mhm.
transpired since we moved into town, like the creation of a new police
Yep.
department. So we are wanting to come see
Mhm.
and observe, and then you offer a kind of time afterwards, like if we do have any questions. or comments.
There isn't nothing on the agenda, but we also are very laid back because this is a small town. There are certain things, like when we go to do ordinances, everything goes through. There is no input from the public at that point. It's this body. But as we discuss things, yes, we don't care about comments. Like, we're not that official. Does that make sense? But again, certain things that we are in motion of, we can't stop. We have to, if you're familiar with Robert's rules, it's kind of the same thing. All right?
Jason, can I also ask that everybody, since we're sharing mics, use their outdoor voice again for me, please? So that I can make sure when I'm listening to a recording that I'm hearing you. Please.
All right.
Well, then you don't count.
All right, we'll go on to council reports. Next up is finance with Michelle. But realistically, we just have the 2 resolutions under new business a little bit later type thing. So zoning and property maintenance. Again, so under zoning and property maintenance, we only have the one zoning application that is outstanding, which is Ms. Russell's. She just left. All the other ones have been responded to, and they've all been responded to within 30 days or less. And she left, I wish she would have stayed. And just for awareness, I know that came up last month, this month, with Heather's job, she works for a company that provides security for Red, White, and Boone, things like that. So, I mean, just right now is that season of her having all these hours put in type thing. So, all right. that. Next is records, rule, and law.
All right, so myself and the other people of records, rules, and laws, and also Bob, got together and we're talking about some ordinances that we need to work on for the village, specifically for safety. And so the first one talked about the discharge of firearms in the village. We did keep it essentially the same. We did add paintball gun to the type of firearm, because it's also an air gun, considered an air gun.
Do you have it labeled as an air gun or a paintball gun?
The ordinance already had said it.
Already says air
Okay.
gun. So. The question about the council was, sanctioned permitted sporting events. How do we want to handle that? We know that, there's been talk about this turkey shoot coming back up. We want to make sure that we, is there any language that needs to be added to the ordinance for the village?
So in my opinion, yes, there needs to be language for that, because if not, it outlaws anything like that, essentially the way it's written.
So how we worded it between the four of us was sanctioned sporting events may be allowed with prior authorization of mayor and council, permit to be issued by Village of Pleasantville.
Okay. And again, that right there will be sent off to the lawyer to be lawyered up with all the proper
Right.
whereas and who fors and all that. But yes, in my opinion, that needs to be added. One, because it does happen, and it's been something that's been happening for decades.
Right. We also are going to be looking at the fireworks draft. That's not something we can talk on today because we haven't done it. The next one we have is curfew. Oh, and also for firearms, we did increase the permit amounts because it was from 1991 and they were like $10. So
Okay.
we did increase permitted.
You're talking about the fine? Or,
Yeah.
Okay.
Violation fines.
my suggestion is instead of, when you guys write ordinances, instead of you putting a dollar amount in there, you guys gotta figure out what type of, charge it is, whether it's a minor misdemeanor, a felony, or whatever,
Okay.
and then just put that in there, and then whatever Ohio Revised Code says, so that when the Ohio Revised Code gets updated, that goes along with it.
Okay.
It was already in there. That's
Yeah.
why
Yeah, I think they had a $10 fine or something like
Yeah.
that, yeah. But yeah, we need to get away from putting fines in our language, because it should go back to
what Ohio.
Ohio says if it's something that is covered as a minor misdemeanor or a misdemeanor or a felony.
This is my first one.
No, it's fine. No, you're doing great.
All right, so I'm gonna say that one for last, that's the one that works for me. Curfew, we did talk about curfew. So the only thing, we did have some help from Chief Garber regarding curfew. The only thing that we had a question about for the council was curfew for minors under age 13 will be 9 o'clock, and for minors ages 13 to 17. In the state, you can work at 14 years old, and especially in the summer, you can work until 11 o'clock. So I feel like the rest of us felt like from 15 and under, that 9 o'clock was more appropriate than the 13.
Can I ask where the number, where that came from?
Or what?
Where 9 PM came from? Like, is it an Ohio rule or something, or is that just the number that you guys decided? And I only question because, having children, we have football until 8:30.
Are they by themselves running around?
No, but
the
by the time
street?
they get home,
Okay, so hold on, before we go down that
I'm
rabbit
just
hole.
thinking,
Hold on.
9 o'clock
So-
is early.
Under any of that thing, this is considering like loitering, things like that. When you have a true destination, this does not cover it. So if you're driving through Pleasantville at 16 years old at 1 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
To
you
go
get pulled
home.
No, I
over,
understand
you're
that.
not
Like,
getting fined for,
I
yes.
understand the
So
premise of
when
it.
you have a destination, or, again, you're going from your house to grandma's house and you're
Yeah.
13 years old, you have a destination. That is covered under the language that's in our current ordinance, which should carry
I
over.
just think, like I said, having practice till 8:30, especially in the summer, because we're practicing now. Like, my kids are at practice as we speak. They come home, it doesn't get dark until 9:30. I'm gonna let them play outside until it's dark.
Well, this doesn't allow you,
So.
this doesn't say your kids are not allowed outside. They're not allowed to be out running around town.
By themselves, by
Yes.
themselves.
Okay.
Yes, and again,
And we didn't come up with the time, it was already in the.
it's
in
the existing
actual-
ordinance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and it's
So
not, your kids aren't allowed to go outside in your own yard. That has nothing to do with it. And they can't go to your neighbor's house
Okay.
type thing. It's when they're running the streets.
When they're running through other people's yards, causing a ruckus, throwing rocks through windows and things like that. This is an ordinance that can
That-
prevent them from doing.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
well,
but-
and that.
But I would say that officers will charge with more than one thing if there's something going on.
Yeah.
Basically. So basically, if you're down vandalizing something and you're out for past
Hopefully-
curfew, you're.
Hopefully it keeps people inside
Cause,
now.
yeah, cause it actually goes along with like a curfew goes along with the parents, cause the parents should know where the child's at when they're vandalizing something, basically.
Anyway, so basically the only thing we changed was, instead of under 13, it's under 15. Shall be in by 9 o'clock, and the curfew for all minors from 15 to 17 shall be 11.
What's council's
Does
comments?
anybody have any concerns?
All right. Are those two ready to go to the solicitor then?
As soon as I write them up, and I'll write them up, and I will email them to you, because I have written all of them.
That's fine.
And then the last one that was the most difficult is for operation of golf cart within the village. We felt strongly that golf cart should be separated out from UTVs, side-by-sides, things like that.
Well, hold on. So
Because,
while you're giving input there, by Ohio law, ordinances can't be for more than one thing. So you kind of got to be careful. An UTV and a golf cart, are they the same thing?
Use? Yeah, use, yes, absolutely.
No.
Use-wise, yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm not saying use-wise. Are they the same thing?
No.
No. So can they go under the same ordinance if Ohio law says you don't have, an ordinance has to be for one thing? Okay, and again, you're picking up pieces and parts here,
Sure. That's
Like,
why we come. more
yes,
instructions.
no, and that's fine.
Right.
But this is, right now, because we have no ordinance, it's illegal to ride anything on the streets, okay? And we have residents that want to ride their equipment on the street, so we're trying to come up with something. Because if we don't do nothing, it's just illegal, because we have nothing, because Ohio law says you're not allowed to do it unless you have a local ordinance. Does that make
And
sense?
again, yeah, we're coming in kind of.
Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure you understand that, because sometimes when people do, it's like, well, these people are a bunch of idiots
Yeah,
that sit around this
that's why
table.
we're here, why
Yeah.
They're coming each
Yeah,
year
we don't-
because we want to know more.
Yeah.
we don't want to, we have to go by what the state says. We can't do less than what the state says. Like, we can't take what we don't like out about the state and say, no, we don't like that because it doesn't work in our village. So we have to sort of go by what the state says and also,
You can look at what other towns are doing as well.
oh, for sure,
Well,
that's
that's
where we
where we
get a
get-
lot of
yeah.
our
We compared
ordinances.
it to Thornville and Lancaster,
Yeah.
yeah, we do, we pull in
Yeah.
the different, and a lot of, just to explain to the background, a lot of the ones we're looking at, we have very old ordinances that need updated, because,
Like the
Yeah,
one
we
about firearms is 1991.
yeah,
And it said you're allowed to shoot people if you have a reason.
yeah.
The exact wording,
So,
the exact wording is, the ordinance does not extend to cases in which firearms are used in self-defense in the discharge of official duty or justifiable homicide.
Justifiable to keep it right.
well, I understand, but again, you're not allowed to use those words anymore either, so.
Who decides it's justifiable? That's the problem. So, let's see. The big sticking point with this is that according to operate a golf cart according to state laws, was it has to be what I would call street legal. You have to
Mhm.
have front tail lights, back tail lights, turn signals, a
Windshield.
front windshield, and turn signals. Did I say that?
Yes.
And there's there's something else.
They have a list of what's required to make them street legal.
A working horn,
And then it takes,
mirrors,
you actually have to go get it.
inspected, and you have to have things like that. And so, we did go back and forth on this one, and we need some guidance. And I don't know how, I'm a little nervous to say this. So, this actually is one of those ones you were talking about for the villages. This is actually Thornville's ordinance that we sort of adopted in '09. We as the group don't feel that it needs to be registered and titled. A lot of the golf carts that we have are not. We feel that there should be some of the requirements for street legal. I hate to say that word. Some of the requirements are, we feel, are outdated. For instance, unless you're buying a brand new golf cart, a lot of them don't have seatbelts. A lot of them don't have. Go ahead.
So one thing with that, and that'll probably have to go to legal, is the state law, ORC says X. You can't make less of it. So if, and I don't know this, I don't know if Chief Carver knows the answer to this, if state law says to be street legal, or to be on a public right of way, it has to be street legal, which means it follows ORC, it has to match ORC. We can't make less of it. So,
It'll have to be registered,
Yeah.
unfortunately. And they give you the full-size license plate.
So let me ask you a question, Chief.
Yeah.
So if I have a 10-year-old golf cart and I don't have anything, it doesn't have a VIN, I don't have a bill of sale because I bought it from Cousin Joe down the street,
I'm not from the golf course.
or a golf course, what documentation, and I'm not trying to be smart, what documentation do you take to get registered?
So the B&B will not give you a registration without a police inspection. Police inspection would have to be based on an ordinance, which would mirror state law, which would go through what you just went through with the windshield and the mirrors and the seatbelts. So basically, if you have a 1990 golf cart and you want to make it legal, you would have to add the accessories.
Okay.
And then it should have a serial number on it, and then I believe they treat it the same way as like a homemade trailer, where they generate a VIN number.
Okay.
I can call.
I have had to do that a couple times for my company, in order to run stuff around on city streets or whatever in Columbus. Usually on private property, if you're gonna cross, or if you gotta have insurance, you gotta all that. Now, an ordinance is just like anything else. I mean, the police can kind of enforce it, however, just like, with the whole fireworks issue, do we really want to impound a golf cart if you're running it to your mom's house down the street? No, not really, But at the same time, if a state trooper comes through town and they see it on the streets and they stop them, now it's like, okay, well, you don't have a tag on the vehicle, you don't impound it, and there's not a whole lot anybody can do about it. An ordinance.
So if you go through all that, you're basically saying you're making it a street legal vehicle, then I can drive it up and down the state route?
So golf carts are considered underspeed motor vehicles, and they are technically not allowed to be on roads that are 35 mile an hour or higher. So you can cross Main Street on the
Well, Main
35.
Street's 25 mile an hour down through here until you get down to State One.
It's pretty much 25 everywhere in town except for where the state law requires it to be 35, which is just on 188.
See, what always gets confusing to me is you're trying to make it a street legal vehicle like a car is, but it can't go 20 mile an hour. It's a golf cart.
Yeah, that one is usually the top end on a golf
Yeah.
cart. Yeah.
So to me, in my eyes, no matter what you do to it, I can see the safety stuff, but all the other stuff, no matter what you do to it, it's not a car. It's not going to be a car.
Well, I think the driving force, if you'd ask the state legislatures about why the law is the way the law is, because the cases where a golf cart's involved in a crash or
Right.
causes a crash, and there is no insurance, there is no registration, it's just this, phantom vehicle that's involved in this. And so now they want to know, okay, who's driving, do they have a driver's license, all that stuff, so, so the penalty will follow 12-year-old person, so if you got a 14-year-old out there, of course, that wouldn't be allowed. So, I mean, you can't just let an 11-year-old run the golf cart down the street. Yeah, probably does. You know, it's one of those situations, everybody breaks the law, and then you pay the consequences if you get caught.
That's kind of good to know, because we were going down the wrong rabbit hole.
Well, I don't think that we were going down the wrong rabbit hole, I think that we were just trying to make it make sense. Right, for the small,
State law, and we're, state law.
Yeah. I can understand. Well, you know, so it's not-
I think there's other ones, I travel all
I know, I'm not just Kelly's Island, there's a couple other ones.
Oh, yeah, there's several,
Yeah.
like I said, we travel constantly.
Yeah, so they actually have different, and that's usually like the main mode of transportation anyway.
Correct.
So they do it differently for them, specifically for
But
them.
there's a lot of other towns that do it, and I'm not
Yeah.
Ohio is the same, but I mean, I just got back from Montana, Wyoming,
Yeah.
and their
Well,
towns-
their state laws, like when you leave Ohio, state laws are drastically different.
Right.
Because like when you go out west,
Yeah, that's
like,
what I said. is
they
that
make
way, yeah.
ATV friendly laws. Ohio does not have ATV friendly laws, type thing. So yeah, there's drastic differences once you leave the
I
state.
think it's all dependent on how the town wants to approach it, right? I mean,
Depending on what
I
state you're in.
with all the towns that I travel and that I'm at, there's a lot of ATVs and golf carts out,
Yep.
and it's not a big deal. It's completely acceptable.
But sometimes it's not a big deal doesn't mean it's not a big deal. It means everyone ignores it, pretends it's not there until something happens, type thing. Like Chief Carter was talking about, the community cops maybe going through and just, oh, there's a golf cart, but if statey comes through, they have you, because state law is state law.
So,
Yeah.
so I guess I'm gonna go back and,
Start over.
start over. We'll stick with ORC and,
Try Buckeye Lake, Village of Buckeye Lake, because they have a lot more golf carts here locally than any other village, I think.
I don't know if Millersport does that too or not.
I actually went on Thornville and I searched their database and old Thornville, and that's what we kind of tried
Yeah.
doing. I think we're also gonna have to call the BMV and see what it takes for an inspection.
Yeah.
Because I'll be truthful, I have ATVs and stuff, and for the inspection, this is when we were talking about it. It's been years since I've done this, but they used to also expect a bill of sale.
Mhm.
So, we need to call and get what they're gonna require to.
Well, I mean, one way to look at this golf cart.
We were
issue-
actually gonna try to come up with some way that you inspected it. Do you know what I mean? And we come up with a sticker, but it doesn't sound like we can do that, so.
For a golf cart, yeah, you definitely can. I don't know about an ATV. I think if you made a universal under-speed motor vehicle, you could maybe do that, but it would depend on the type of, because not all UTVs are the same. Like, there's ATVs, there's UTVs, and there's a
Right.
bunch, and they're structurally different.
Yeah.
Some are more like bikes than actually like a car. And
Yep.
so, but I wouldn't get too terribly hung up on, I'm just telling you, so like, the ordinance is basically going to allow what's not allowed right now. So no matter what you do, you are letting people do more if you pass the ordinance. So,
Alright.
so even if you can't, say, well, we don't want to do registration or whatever, I don't think you're going to be able to do that legally. I think that would.
the ordinance has to be legal and binding.
Right, and if that's the hangup, I think, you should probably, if you want to pass some sort of allowance to do it, you should probably just go ahead and put the registration and everything like it is, and then it allows people to do more than they can currently do.
Yeah, because right now it's a law, there's a law.
Yeah, so,
To do it at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go back and research it more.
Yeah.
I mean, and I really don't have an opinion on it because I don't live here and I don't have a golf cart in town.
Well,
so
get ready, because you might be doing some inspections on these cards that don't have bills of sale.
That's no problem. Yeah, that's no problem. Well, we have to inspect
runs the golf cart the most in town?
The village.
True statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True that.
I would say if you look hard enough, there's an exception for municipal equipment, but, yeah, you're right though. Yep.
Painted bright yellow, put Village of Pleasantville on it. Municipal
I think you
vehicle.
should probably get a slow moving vehicle.
I was gonna say,
At a minimum.
that's
Yeah.
actually what I brought up when we were in
Yeah.
the meeting.
It's farm equipment
Because
then.
of, yeah,
Meaning to say something, but.
yeah.
But the state trooper won't accept that triangle
Yes,
on.
he has to, yes, he does.
No, because it's not farm implement.
If it's farm equipment, it does.
If it's farm, but a golf cart isn't farming
As long
implement.
as you're on the triangle.
Farm, yes, it is.
Yeah.
Could be.
No, we actually went through this a couple years ago with something else, and it's a definition by state law, what is farm equipment and what's not, and a golf cart is not. Because we actually had someone from out of town driving through
Yeah, it
with,
It does. And
Anything used to transport materials and goods on the farm.
okay, but a golf cart is
The
not
farm
that.
is not the center of town.
Yeah.
It's the center of town.
And again, you have the law, the interpretation of the law, and things like that. And again, we've been down that road with a state trooper that did find someone that didn't live in the town that was driving through here with a slow-moving vehicle. And again, it's
I
just,
think they would have a court case on for him.
yeah, I'm not a judge in that type of realm, so. All right. All right, anything else? So you get those two to me?
There's, I'll get two to you,
Okay.
we'll go back with, the golf carts, and
Okay.
we'll work on fireworks.
Okay, not a problem. Next is Recreation Community Center and Pool. The concrete has been poured at the pool. Up next is the state inspection, that's supposed to be next week. However, the school has issues with the schedule, so it's getting pushed back even further, so it probably won't be until the last week of July, because of some work that they're doing down there. So I think we are scheduled for the week of the 26th for the state inspection for the concrete that's been poured.
Okay.
All right. Leads me into the next part of this, which is bad news. So part of the grant money that we got also paid for new restrooms down there. Those things not sold. And every one that's not bidding on them is not bidding on them because of the constraints that's on there. So because it sits on school property, the school superintendent met with us and gave us requirements that it can't be done during normal school hours. It can only be done on the weekends, third shift. They can't go through this door. They can't go through that door. They got to build a fence on the west side. They can't be seen by the students, blah, blah, blah. So no one's going to bid on that. And that's about $52,000. So we're going back to the state. And so those restrooms and the new restrooms at Oddie Park are tied together. So without one, we don't get the other. So we're going to ask the state if we can split those out, do Oddie Park by itself, because we need to get those done, and see if we can reprogram that money into something else. And then we gave the option to the state of new playground equipment or updating the T-ball diamond. Because I think, again, it's for the parks, let's keep it with the parks, and those are things that are needed. And those both are for the park. We're waiting to hear back from the state. If the state says no, we probably just lose the $52,000 in grant funding. If they say yes, which most likely they will, their job isn't to hold this money, we'll figure out what we're gonna do next, and we'll have to rebid all this stuff. The bad part of this is the pool doesn't get the restrooms that they needed, and it's gonna take us into the fall, winter, whatever. And of course, with the grant language, everything's supposed to be done this fall, so the state will also have to give us continuances, yada, yada, yada. So more paperwork, more headaches, more everything else. So just an update on that. It was just unfortunate the way it came out, so.
Is there a reason why the superintendent is being so stringent on those parameters?
Because it can. That's all I want to say on that.
Understood.
That was being kind.
Exactly. That's why I use the language.
Great day to be a Falcon.
So, but
You guys petition him?
Yeah, because it affects the kids, not everybody else.
end of the day,
For the kids.
I understand. End of the day, they're a stakeholder because they actually own the property. They have to sign off on it, so if they don't sign off on it, we're missing that signature. Trust me, we've had multiple meetings, emails, and different conversations over the last 6 months. So, on a shit list. All right, safety service, Bob?
A couple months ago, did you bring up the maintenance records for the vehicles? We started new maintenance records, and I don't know if you talked to the police officers. What we would like for you guys to do is, at least every time, I don't know when you're checking oils and stuff like that, but we figured like at least every time you fuel up or something, check the oil and then make notations if we need anything. I know you tell them about service things.
Yeah.
And, we talked about this before, I don't know if we talked about it in front of council, but I think the shops in desperate need of a lift. Not sure what size we should get. If we end up buying a bigger dump truck, they weigh upwards around 18 to 20,000 pounds. Most shop lifts don't lift that kind of weight, so that'd be an upgrade in a shop lift. But the last time Tony worked on a vehicle, we had to take it to his house and work on it. Most of the stuff they do, they're working on the ground and stuff, so it's something we really need to look at purchasing and making enough space for. We've got, what, 4 or 5 vehicles now, and the shop does the maintenance on the vehicles, so we need to make it easy for them to do the maintenance on the vehicles.
I think the last one we talked about it was to get prices on it. One thing I would suggest is it be, any decision on that be made for next fiscal year, not this current fiscal year. And that way we can just see where our money is. And I have some expenditures that I need to ask for the street department coming up that are kind of hefty. So, I just want to make sure that, you know, budget-wise, we stay in our budget and our cash flow.
So when we are pricing it, are we pricing for somebody to install it, or?
No. Reason being is because Tony did his own and I'll help him. Yeah.
Well, I'm just,
Takes a couple hours.
yeah.
Are they expensive?
I'm familiar with them.
Can and
just
cannot
know
be.
that
I mean, it's like
why
anything else.
We're getting somebody to install it, is you gotta have a certain depth of concrete depending on the.
Yeah, we've already
Yeah.
checked with that,
Okay.
and back here we're at 6 to 8 inches depending on
Yeah.
where we're at.
Because you got to remember this did house fire engine.
No,
So,
I know, but I
Yeah.
don't want us to run into the, like, if
Yeah,
we
you
need
can't-
to upgrade the concrete, we need to upgrade the
Yes.
concrete first, because I don't wanna then
yes.
run
Yeah,
into
we've
the.
already checked into the
Later.
concrete situation.
Okay, okay.
This is probably less than 10 grand.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know. We've got our eyeball on one for our house, so.
All right. Anything else?
No.
Okay. So grant updates, again, we kind of talked about a couple of them. Everything's up there on the board. The NRG funding, Hickenlooper paving was awarded, but it can't be done until they finish up Columbus Street. The Columbus Street storm lines, the contractor is running into some issues. Again, you never know what's in the ground, and everything that can go wrong is going wrong for that poor contractor. So they're hobbling through the best they can, but they are a little bit behind schedule. Right now, we are holding all payments to that contractor because of some safety issues on the work site, and because they're not cleaning up the work site. There's a lot of dust and everything down there. They're supposed to be working through that, fixing it, which they have been, but until they're 100%, we're holding all payments to them. So they've been paid zero so far, because they've only put in the one pay request, and we've not even reviewed it. Audi Park restrooms, kind of talked about that. Pleasantville Park baseball diamond, it's been awarded. The contract has not been signed. Again, that's a county contract. They're hoping by the end of July to have that signed, and then the contractor can start probably sometime after the festival, because again, there is some blackout dates there because of the festival. The CDBG funding, again, that goes back to the pool. We talked about that. Summit Street storm lines, that is out for bid right now. Bid opening is August 2nd at 2 p.m. here. So that right there, hopefully we get some good bids on that. Water meter replacement, again, we're doing that as we can go through. The water tank refurbishment, our crew left the job site today. So they are a subcontractor of our contractor. I did talk to the owner today. He is setting up another crew. However, the subcontractor, when they left, took all of his equipment. So more to come on that. We're almost done with that tank. Like,
This has been a tank for hell.
it has been, everything that could go wrong has went wrong. That's stupid. So that's kind of where we're at with that tank. So he said he's gonna have his team up here by Monday, but again, they don't have any equipment because they took it. So I don't know if he's planning on renting more equipment or what, or if they're just gonna come up here and survey the land and figure out what their next step is. The next team that comes up is his in-house team. The reason why we got a subcontractor is because his in-house team was working at another job, because remember ours got delayed because of material, so he had to put that team on another job. So that's kind of where we're at with that. The land bank grant, the door replacement started. It'll be completed before the end of the year. Again, that contractor is fitting us in between different jobs to get that done before the end of the year. And then the zoning update, I do have some information on that here a little bit later. All right. Then I did talk about the OPWC for Walnut Street, that we were not funded on round 1, and we'll hear about round 2 hopefully by the end of this month. Maintenance report, Casey.
Basically, the lead and copper is completed, the CCR was completed, and it should be, you guys should all been able to see that. We had one curb box replacement, we did have one water line replacement or repair down there, on East Columbus Street. The biggest problem they're coming into is there's a lot of sand where there shouldn't be, so as they're pulling it back, stuff is pulling back in, as in the road. There shouldn't be there should have been a base underneath there, but when they put it in and
Actually, we found out some information. So you're talking about the project on Columbus Street, the sanitary sewer, when it was installed, the backfill was 100% sand.
yeah,
Back when it was put in the 70s, that was the material to be used.
yeah.
So that's why it wasn't that someone shortcutted it back in the 70s. It was back then, that is what the requirement
Yeah,
was.
the requirement, okay.
Yep.
But the problem is as they're pulling it back, it's actually letting the road form.
Yep.
So they're actually having to go back through, repack it, so it's causing a lot of headaches.
How they
Slowing
repack
it down.
Are they seating up in it with a concrete encasing it?
No, there's no concrete encase because it's sanitary sewer. It's per ODOT specs.
Yeah. We still have a couple small wood leaks, we think, we're still looking around town just to be safe on that. Most of the repairs on the fire hydrants have been done. We're still going to work out the one on Main Street that was broke off by a truck. And if you have noticed, they've been getting painted and everything, we've got something else working on that. Talk about the contractor. We're still working on removing the old signs and placing up some new signs throughout the village, and still cleaning up out the farmland whenever we got time. Trying to keep it clean, because if not, it just grows and keeps growing. And that's about it.
All right. Anything for Casey? All right, Chief Garber?
So, our uniform shoulder pads finally come in after about 7 months. So, I have those now, that's good. Officer Kelly and Foster worked a bunch while I was gone, several times each week, along with Mike and Bill. We have a prospective female officer I'm going to interview, I think on Monday. She's relatively new out of the academy, and I think she works for the state police entity that works at the mental hospitals. I can't remember exactly what they're called. She got tired of doing that, so she changed her full-time job. She wanted to maintain the police commission and all that stuff, and was looking for reserve work. So an introduction was made, and we'll see where that goes next week. And if she works out, I'll get with the mayor about having her sworn in as a reserve officer, unless you guys want us to wait till council meeting, but I'm pretty sure he can do it in between by law if we want to do that, so whatever your preference is on that. I think Heather did go out and help with the community cleanup day. I wasn't here for that. We're still working on the mutual aid agreement. It's really not a big deal, it's just wheels progress turn slowly. So multiple government entities involved in it, so we're kind of like just to let you know, I don't know if anybody, you know, how the rumor mill is, we did have a little pursuit the other day. It ended up on Tiki Lane, beside the pool. I was initially just out of a speeding violation and I'm following too closely, but, he decided he wanted to run. And really, I have no idea why he ran, because he had a valid license as of 2 days prior. No drugs in the car, no warrants or anything. He just got scared and ran, I guess. I don't know. So that turned into a bigger deal than I think he bargained for. But he did have some mental issues. So we ran him down to Fairfield Medical Center. That was voluntary admit. Pretty sure he checked himself out as soon as I left. But it is what it is. So we did our part on that. But he was charged accordingly. So I don't know if Scannerland or whatever, if everybody knew about that or not yet. So, and then just prior to the meeting here, we had to run a juvenile down and admit her for attempted suicide. So I was going to be late. I almost was late, but obviously I'm not naming names or locations for obvious reasons on that. But having some, and then we've had several mental health type calls in the last month. I would say probably 4 or 5 where we have to take people down to the hospital. So I don't know if it's just the summertime or what's causing the uptick in that. But
Well, I was going to ask that because it has been, because we've had, you know, someone dropping off a mental patient here in Pleasantville, I believe at your location. One's driving through Pleasantville, being chased by Carroll police, things like that. I'm assuming only one of these have been actual Pleasantville residents. Everything else has just been coming through, correct?
well, I mean, it's subjective because some of them are placed with people in the foster system, actually, so the foster parent or guardian or whatever does live here, so the child is here, so, but they're originally from like Franklin County, or,
Okay.
you know, or whatever, so, I mean, it's however you want to view that. I mean, so their legal address would be in town, some of these, but I would say for, as far as like, you know, homegrown people or
Yep.
whatever, no.
Okay.
Not so far.
Yeah.
I would say as a rule, because I have a little bit of experience working as a nurse in the emergency department, holidays and heat,
Yeah.
two bad things.
Heat's always like a law enforcement thing, but I'm not like.
And holidays are hard on people, especially with mental illness, because of, you know, their
Lack of family.
lack of family, lack of resources, lack of support, you know, remembering things that may or may not have happened or they wish to have happened, and it causes a lot of anxiety and sort of ramps up any mental illness that they have. It sort of makes it tenfold. Christmas time is bad, Thanksgiving time is bad, 4th of July is bad, Valentine's Day is bad.
Yep.
So our inpatient admissions and holds in the emergency department, times 10.
Well,
I
just,
mean, even lady today, the nurse that checks it, she's like, you're back again. Was just down here 2 days ago on our legal pursuit issue, and she's like, you know, we're not gonna let you in anymore. That's fine.
well, so if, like, we have that great partnership and relationship with Adam H. and there's different resources there, so I didn't know if we needed to bring them in for different type of community events to help out, because there always are resources available. Because again,
Might be something to think about, you
Okay.
know, I don't know exactly what all the plans are for the festival, coming up, but they wanna set booths up and.
yeah, I can reach out to Marcy. She's the director at Adam H.
Because they used to set up at the community center like once a week or something like that. didn't they?
Well, so we got grant funding. That was through Adam H. Ohio Guidestone was the company. They're a subcontractor of Adam H. And we received 1 year of having a psychologist basically in the village. She got 0 patients, 0 people coming in to visit. That's even her going out, hold on 1 second. That's even her going out and trying to like go to the pool, talking to the kids. 'Cause you can kind of gauge a kid, like there's something going on there. And trying to invite the kid or like, hey, you know, your mom's here to pick you up, can I talk to you? Like trying to engage the families. But again, a lot of it's a stigma with mental health. But because we showed 0 progress, we lost the funding.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, I just wanted to ask, was that, when that occurred, was that pre-COVID or post-COVID?
That was post-COVID. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just ended last year, yeah.
Because just, I do health insurance, so over the past, even just the year prior to COVID and
Yep.
then after, it's the number one plan spend on most plans is mental health.
Yes,
Because people have been stuck at home, and then I'm sure with the pool being closed for kids,
Yep.
it's 10 times worse because they're not getting
yes.
out and getting to socialize.
Yep. Yeah, it was just unfortunate because part of that was we had to show some type of progress.
Yeah.
And again, even if I always told people, we just need someone to talk to because it counts. And no one would, take advantage of it. And she was here 8 hours a day. And she essentially helped the Logan office doing calls. That's what she ended up doing. Like, that's how far away she was actually.
She went
helping.
like door to door and put things like on doors.
Yeah, and it was advertised.
Yeah.
And
was
we
a great
advertised it,
Yeah.
and, yeah, like everything, yeah.
But
Not that there's a need.
yeah,
Well, I think, that's obviously before having the police department, I think that might be a little bit of the difference is because now we're people are calling us and then we spend a little bit more time on the calls than the sheriff's office and stuff like that. Now, I'm not discounting the sheriff's office at all, I'm just saying that, on calls us, we're more likely to like, okay, what can we do like long term because we're gonna have to keep going to the house over and over again.
Mhm.
So it's like, what can we do to either fix this or this is, I don't get along with him, that's an issue, or if, I need counseling, I need, other resources. So then we just take them down our normal, like, mobile crisis or, Fairfield Medical Center. As usually the two go-to ones for the police, but, I mean, that would have been good to have now.
yes.
But it is what it is. I don't know if you could reapply, or maybe if all the villages could go together and say, hey, this
Well-
person is mobile, and then each village has a day.
Unfortunately, we were the pilot for Fairfield County. And because it has been successful in other counties, but unfortunately, it was not successful here. I'm not saying we can't go back to that well and ask for money.
I don't know that you could occupy somebody 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I don't think so, but. Oh, it's one day, oh, it's one day. Okay, well, I mean, one day, that'd be a little more
Yeah.
realistic, especially if they were shared between the villages. I think she could actually be busy.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree, because I think that was a long-term plan, if we can prove like there was a need. I wish they would have done that originally, but again, the grant money was,
I think a lot of people are embarrassed too.
well, that's it, it's a stigma with mental health.
Yeah.
And again, everyone knows where she's at, everyone knows when she's there. And,
There's days I feel like I could go down there and sit all day.
well,
You know what I mean?
I talked to her, but I didn't count.
I could accept that. There's days I'm like, I just over there for about 3 hours.
We'll get her back and all of us will make it time.
We're busy.
First
Yeah.
1 to 2, 2 to 3, Sarah 3 to 4, Sarah 4 to 5, and then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh my gosh, she needs to be here all week.
No, I get it. Anything else, Chief Carver?
No, I mean, you guys touched on the ordinance, just I'll touch briefly on the fireworks thing. So, since we don't have a fireworks ordinance, we would default to state law. Well, the problem with defaulting to state law, because they lose, so basically all they really did is they said, consumer fireworks are now okay on these particular days throughout the year. That's all the state law really did, because it used to be, was illegal. And so now they've allowed that. That started in 2022, I think it was. And so I think people are not very well educated on it. I think that it's just, we can do what we want when we want as long as we want. And that's okay if your neighbors go along with that. If they don't, if you read the bottom of that state statute, it says this doesn't do anything for disorderly conduct or for, the keeping the peace laws that, like the local laws you guys talk about, curfews and all that stuff that goes along with the time limits and stuff like that. So that's what we were running into is, I personally don't care about fireworks, everybody can be merry, but I do think there probably ought to be limits for the sake of people's sanity. And I'm not the one that writes the laws, so you guys have to decide how narrow you want it to be, because you guys live here. So we were getting it from both sides. We've always been allowed to do this because we never had police before, so why are we enforcing anything now? And the flip side of that is, now we have police, go do something. And it's like, okay, so then it's like, okay, so your neighbors are complaining, so you need to knock it off. But no, the state law says I can do it. It's like, well, the state law says you can do it.
The state law, the part that they read.
Correct. And that's part of the problem, but that's human nature though. So, you know, if there's an exception, then that's the rule, and, you know, forget all the legalese that goes along with it. So, just from the police department's perspective, it would be better for us to have something in print, and it doesn't have to be an emergency, I mean, Fourth of July is over with. I think it does allow for Labor Day though, so that's coming up. So you may want to do something between now and then. I don't know how a lot of people go on for Labor Day fireworks, I really don't know. But I'm just saying, if you want the police to be able to effectively do something, then there's the law, you know, sorry, this is the law, you know. People are a little more receptive to that rather than your neighbors are complaining, you know, because really that can become either a ticket, which we wrote none, or if it's a persisting thing, like if we warn them one time and the neighbor calls again, hey, they're setting fireworks off again after you left. Okay, well now by law that's arrestable. And so I don't want to arrest somebody over fireworks, you know, per se, but we have no other legislation really to fall back on. So that's the only reason for me pitching it to you guys saying, hey, I don't care what you do, it would be good if we had something.
Why don't we have to have something too?
So, and if you read the state law, it's a little bit loosey-goosey on dates and times, because like on the 4th of July, it's like the day before, the day of, the day after, weekend before, weekend after, you know, and all that stuff. And so effectively, you could almost have, you know, weekend and a full week almost of fireworks for the 4th of July. And then there's some other similar ones for the other, you know, like the Chinese holiday and whatever else in through there, they allow for that too.
Cinco de Mayo.
That's in there.
I don't set off fireworks,
Yeah.
but I don't see a problem.
But again, everyone has a different opinion on that,
I-
and they're all valid.
And I would tell you, I don't have a problem with it if you ain't doing it right beside my house where it's gonna land on my roof. So,
Yeah.
there's a line.
The law covers that, because the law.
No, and I know it, because I've already read it,
Yeah,
because we had
too,
to,
and the-
but my point is like, everyone's gonna have their own, do you know what I mean? To me,
The
I'm like, if
Ohio
you're out in the
law
field
covers
doing
it.
it, it's like, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're my neighbor and your house is 2 feet from mine and you're exploding them over my roof,
Then
I don't wanna catch on fire.
the law covers you.
Right.
It does.
Yeah, we did have some more serious ones that we probably should have, you know, ticketed or whatever, where people's houses were legitimately getting hit by fireworks and stuff like that. But it's like, everybody's pointing to the same law. I can do this. Like, we gotta read the whole law. Okay, we gotta read the whole law. And, you know, they don't like it because your party pooper doesn't.
We also had people shutting down the streets on their own to just let off fireworks, and that's not.
That's true, and that's what happened, and that's, we got like people in this
And,
country,
and,
so.
and,
Yes, maybe I should come to
and,
Pleasantville.
and,
Been intoxicated and, you know, if you read through the whole state law, if there's a lot more stuff in there.
And it seemed like it was like a domino effect on some of the nights where it's like, we'd have an isolated thing, some people, and we'd go over and talk to it, and then all of a sudden it's like a competition of fireworks. And it's just like,
Who's gonna get caught?
we now have, you know, 10 people calling in, it's like, time to go home.
So why not just follow Ohio law that, you know, what I mean, that it states that it cannot land on a neighbor's roof? I mean, I think Ohio protects
So-
us.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we're making a bigger deal about it, I honestly, in my
Well, so
Okay, well, it's the very last sentence of the law that says that the disorderly conduct laws are still in play.
100%.
Well, okay, well, when you look up the disorderly conduct law, it's a very vague law. And it's not that we want to wield it as a sword, but your neighbors are complaining, and they have a law to point to saying you're in violation of it. And so it says you can't cause inconvenience, annoyance, or alarm to any person without like a legal reason to do so. And the fireworks law is not the legal reason because it specifically says that law is still in play. So if they would craft an ordinance that says fireworks are permitted within the village limits between whatever, 4 p.m. and 11 p.m. on the 4th of July, and it is not a disorderly conduct to do so, now you're good, because they kind of allowed it.
I'm gonna read it through. I believe the state law covers, I think, everyone, and I think that we're making a big deal about it, and, you know, kind of, I just moved to this town 2 years ago, I'm not setting off
But
any fireworks.
again, you always got to look at it, and we always have to look at it. There's two sides.
Yeah,
I love fireworks. I love watching them. But I also have neighbors that are fearful of it because of PTSD. Of their dogs don't like it, their cats don't like it. You know, like everyone has different opinions, and everyone wants a law to protect them, right?
Yeah.
So Ohio law gives that vague rule, like, here's your blessing. And there, even there, they do talk about, you know, creating local laws. And a lot of villages have cities, like City of Columbus. Even though if you go there 4th of July, it looks like New York City's letting off red, white, and boom. But like they have laws that basically tells them they can't do that. But again, you know, things happen. So we always have to look at it, okay, what's best for the village as a whole? Because yes, I don't think there's anyone around here that says we should just say no fireworks, because that's not right. But to those people that have issue with it, what protections do they have? Because they have equal protection as everyone else, right?
I mean, is it required for everybody to have to cater to other people's triggers? I mean.
No, I'm not saying that.
So
Trust
I think what, at least in my opinion, what we all have to be careful, we live in America and we're free. We're as free as we are until we trample on somebody else's freedom. So that is where a poor police officer gets very caught in between. So when he has somebody be disorderly conduct, I think what he's sitting here and saying is, I don't really want to arrest these people. In the state, no, but in the but I think what he's saying is the recourse that I have right now without you guys doing something is I arrest them or fine them for disorderly conduct.
Correct.
So he's basically saying, do you really want me to stick with the state law and do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, are we feeling it?
I don't think that's.
I think that is what he was saying.
I'm sorry, I apologize, I don't know this one, was it town founded?
I'm sorry.
When was the town founded?
1886.
But again, he's not
Yeah.
looking at a village law, he's looking at a state law. So somebody's put in, the recourse is disorderly conduct. So what he's trying to say is, do you all really want me to enforce disorderly conduct or fireworks?
But I mean, to quote him, he said the definition of disorderly conduct was vague, so the terms in there are kind of arbitrary depending on how you want to apply them, so it would really only be your discretion if you decided you wanted to arrest somebody for that, because you can decide that that's disorderly conduct. or not.
Correct.
Right.
What you're saying is
So I
correct.
mean-
However, like, put yourself on the other side. That's what I want you to do. You do not want fireworks because of X. You point to the bottom of that paragraph and says you will arrest for disorderly conduct, right?
But then that's, as I stated, we go to the definition of disorderly.
Disorderly conduct.
You're
And
not being disorderly if you're following what is currently in place, and I think that's something that everybody could go back and forth, but if, I mean, expecting a police officer to arrest somebody because you just don't like fireworks from now
it's
is
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
And that's what we're saying.
That's what the ordinance is
Yeah,
trying to
that's what he's trying to stop.
Yeah.
because he doesn't have any other recourse except for state law.
I
I think what he's trying to say is what it points to is this, and unless you guys write something that says don't do that, then this is what the person that's upset about the fireworks is gonna say, I want done.
It doesn't matter, because it goes back to his department, not just yours, the departments.
Well, it also goes back to a judge and jury and simple matters, and it can go,
And again, this house was founded in 1940 something, and it hasn't been an issue now, if they go to judge.
No, it's always been an issue. I grew up in this town.
Have you been involved in a court case over it?
I've been close to being arrested for letting off fireworks. So, like, trust me. Okay. No, well, kind of, yes, no.
Just kidding.
But again, you know, yes, they have discretion. Their job, they do not want to arrest people that are enjoying themselves and doing what you should be allowed to do. But we have to protect everyone, not just the percentage that loves fireworks. Again, I love fireworks. But there's people that are afraid of them or whatever. They deserve some type of reprieve from fireworks going off. So what this does is this explains but this explains if they pass an ordinance, and again, it's not here even to discuss, but let's say if they bring an ordinance back that says they're only allowed, again, just making this up, 4th of July only, from 5 to 11, for 30 minutes. That means during that 30 minutes, let off every damn firework you can, and your neighbors can't complain. But then after that, now they can complain. Because it gives everyone the freedom.
And people playing around.
Yeah.
It gives everybody boundaries and consequences. You do have that, right?
So, but
But the boundary,
On
but
this
the,
weekend, before or after
So what we will do, because that ordinance really isn't in front of us, and we could probably debate this for hours, I'm gonna move on, because that's not even presented here yet, that's something that just went to committee. When they have committee meetings, you're more than welcome to go to those committee meetings to discuss that, okay?
We have to decide the next one.
Yeah, yeah, they're all ad hoc meetings,
I can post it though.
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'll post it on
As soon as
my
I decide
Facebook.
yep, and they're in this room,
Here.
yes. All right. Anything else, Chief Carver? Okay.
Yeah, it's over here, my face. No, it's over here.
So we'll go on to old business. The only thing we have under old business, and we did do a phone vote on this, currently we don't have any policy on bereavement pay. Because again, Michelle started the employee handbook, it's on my desk, and I haven't finished it yet. But we did have a reason to use that, so a phone vote was done, and we just need to put on the record that it was voted on that bereavement pay for village employees will be 1 8-hour day. So again, you guys already did a phone vote, we just need to put that on the official record.
Thank you.
All right. New business. We will go into resolution 711-2402, supplemental appropriations. Be resolved by the Village of Pleasantville Council, the following supplemental appropriations be approved. $3,000 police special duty, $5,000 professional and technical services, $500 increase for the Queen's pageant, $3,000 for operation supplies for the public highway, $1,200 for equipment for mayor's court, $1,000 for supplies for operation for supplies and material, and the following revenue be approved. Mayor's court, $3,000. That's for the court cost. Mayor's court fund, $600. That is for one of the computer fees by state law. And then Mayor's court fund, $400 for the second computer fee by state law. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All right, first by Corey, seconded by Sarah. Roll call.
President Jamal? Yes. Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Hayward?
Yes.
Councilman Harrier? Yes. Councilman Morton? Yes. Councilman Henry? Yes.
Ordinance 41124, I'm sorry, Resolution 7112403, the 2025 tax budget. Again, this is for the county. We pass our 2025 essentially budget for the taxes to send to the county for the taxes. They certify it, and then in September they'll send us back a certificate saying that these are approved for tax purposes. Again, we pretty much use this same budget for our operating budget in pass it in December for actual January and all of 2025. Everyone has a copy of that. No big changes. I mean, we're just continuing on our normal thing. The only thing to note, just like everyone's homes, prices keep going up. So all of our supplies keep going up. All of our utilities keep going up. So that's pretty much the only cost increases that we have in there is to account for those increases. Any comments, questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
Bill made the motion,
I'll second it.
seconded by Sarah. Roll call.
President Jamal? Yes. Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Hayward? Yes. Councilman Harrier? Yes. Councilman Morton? Yes. Councilman Henry? Yes.
All right. And this is our third and final reading for ordinance 411-2405, an ordinance updating the ordinance regulating the use or occupation of all public right-of-ways in the Village of Pleasantville and the issuance of right-of-way permits to persons for such use or occupancy, and to set forth the policies of the village related to its public right-of-ways, or ORW. Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Sarah made the motion, seconded. Seconded by Katie. Roll call.
Councilman Mason? Yes. Councilman Hayward?
Yes.
Councilman Harrier?
Yes.
Councilman Morton? Yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
All right, last one. Mr. Garver, do you mind coming up here?
You've got cold.
Yeah. So, just some background, as everyone here knows, Nick has graciously donated all of his time in doing this, and he spent over 1,000 hours since then. Again, at no fee, no charge to the village of Pleasantville. In addition, Captain Schenkel has also been involved, as well as officers Moore and Riders, Foster. So we appreciate it, but I feel like you put in the most hours and to help set us up with police vehicles, getting some for free, getting them at the lowest cost possible, going out and finding all those deals. So we really appreciate it. So one of the things that we want to do is honor naming Walnut Street between South Main Street and Lincoln Avenue as Nick Garber Way for 90 days. So we have a resolution to rename the street honorary for that. So that's resolution 711-2401. Do I have a motion to approve? Michelle made the motion, seconded by Sarah. Roll call.
Michelle, Sarah, I'm sorry.
Yes.
President Dumont? Yes. Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Payne?
Yes.
Councilwoman Harry?
Yes.
Councilwoman Morton? Yes. Councilwoman Henry?
Yes.
So the official sign for Nick Garber Way. You get to keep these after the 90 days. Well,
Sorry, honey.
we got markers to write out Nick and put Sarah after they
Punch the holes in the bottom and just get a little sand.
So, again, thank you for your work on that.
Okay.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
But we also thought of something else, because again, everyone gets class for all their stuff. Because you've been a champion for Pleasantville since you started, we figured a wrestling belt. Would be well, I've seen some that called you go on, you probably should be. So, but again, we appreciate all the time you put in. Again, you stood up a department realistically for $30,000 to include equipment. I mean, it's ridiculous what you've been able to do. Yes, yeah. Yeah, the lady that you did that for, she's so appreciative, because again, that was the third time I believe that happened. The first two times, officers that weren't Pleasantville did not take care of it, and you tracked down the person who hit her car, plus got her $1,000 deductible that had never been done before. So, again, the amount of work that you do for the village residents, you deserve more than this, but this is the least we can do.
Thank you very much. That's very unique. I've never even seen it.
Well, we try to be unique.
I mean, well, both of them, really.
So, but you can take that with you. We'll get those coming up in 90 days. We'll give them to Miss Sarah, so she can black out her name and put in hers. Thank you, sir.
We expect you to wear that at the festival.
You tell us when your vacation is first. Not a problem. All right, next item under new business. So last month we talked about, or you guys passed an ordinance allowing me to sell things on gov deals for our surplus equipment. Our backhoe, we had some actual local people interested in it. I think it would be beneficial since we have some interest locally, is not to use gov deals, because then we don't pay premiums and all that stuff. If we go ahead and sell this, the old backhoe as surplus. I do suggest that we put a minimum bid on it, because I don't want someone buying a backhoe for $100. Now the backhoe does have a lot of work that needs to be done, thousands of dollars of work to be exact. That's why we don't use it no longer. Needs all new hydraulics. I just went to the vet with my dog. I'm saying growth plate, and that's not the rear differential. Don't ask me why growth plate and rear differential are the same, because they're not. But it needs to be probably replaced. There's some wiring that has been undone. There's just multiple things. So again, the value of it isn't very high. We only bought it 15 years ago, 20 years ago for $12,000. We've gotten our money out of it. So does anyone have an idea of what I meant? I think you were going to the minimum. Yeah, because it is a Case 580E, which is a very popular backhoe, and
hydraulics run. And that one, the reason why it's low is because they switched it up now. On that one, the actual hydraulics run every
still starts to run, so that diesel's worth something.
Yeah,
The diesel itself is worth around $3,000.
Yeah.
So altogether, you're looking probably, realistically, 4 to 5 would be the lowest you'd want to go, just in scrap prices alone.
okay. So is council one okay, selling it without going through gov deals? And selling it, again, it has to be through, local closed bid. We'll have to put out a notice stating that it's for sale. We will list everything that's wrong with it, and then give a date that it will close, and then we will open up those. So what I would do, or what I would suggest, is the closing date would be, or the opening bid date would be our next council meeting. That way it's done in a public meeting, and that all bids are due by 4 o'clock that day. So that would be August 8th. So August 8th at 4 PM. Are you guys good with that?
Yes.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the sale of the backhoe with the bid opening August 8th at 4 PM? Sealed bid. Okay,
For a minimum of what?
we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry. That's
So sealed bid by August 8th by 4 PM. Sarah made the motion. All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Bill second. Roll call. Type faster.
President Small,
Yes.
Councilman Mason, Councilman Haymore,
Yes.
Councilman Harrier,
Yes.
Councilman Morton. Yes. Councilman Henry.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's talk about the minimum bid, or the reserve. What reserve do you want on that?
What would it cost Casey or Bob to replace the hydraulic cement machine?
If you rebuilt that thing, you're probably talking about 10 grand.
And,
That's replacing all the lines and everything, and it looks like a water fountain.
well, that's what I'm just,
Yeah, that's why we took out service, because we didn't want to dump another, more money into something that we didn't pay that much for.
The differential's huge, the tires wore out on it,
if you had,
it's
so
just,
the reason I'm asking this is that if you had a machine that wasn't doing all of that, would it be worth 20,000? Would it
we just paid
30,000 for our, and that was a used one.
Yeah.
Because again, a new backhoe, for what we have is a good $100,000. Yeah.
I think if we get a bid on it, we ought to run it down.
I was just thinking the same thing in my head, Bill.
But again, like, I don't want someone to take something for $100 that is worth more than
Well,
$100.
I understand
Yeah.
that, yes, but
I think the motor room was $2,500, $3,000. I don't know, $3,000 bid. Will they see the minimum bid?
We can advertise it with the minimum. That's not a problem, or it could be just, there's a reserve. And if no bids meet it, then,
It's that.
and the thing is, it's a public
We did the
meeting.
truck, we didn't tell them what the reserve was, but we had a reserve.
Yeah, well.
We
Okay,
actually got way more than what we
yeah,
thought we would get.
yeah, but again, it's a public meeting, so anyone who
Right.
watches this meeting knows what we, like, that's the flip side of it.
Well, yeah, if it's saying 4 or 5, I wonder if we split the difference between 3 and 5.
Let's say
$4,000 reserve. All right, someone want to make a motion for that? Okay, so Corey made a motion for $4,000 reserve.
I'll second.
Second by Sarah. Roll call.
President Jamal, Councilman Mason,
yeah.
Councilman Haymore,
Yes.
Councilman Harrier,
yes.
Councilman Morton. Yes. Councilwoman Henry.
Yes.
Michelle, you first that. You first.
Corey. Sarah.
I was still,
Yeah, I know, that's the reason why I didn't want to, why I wanted to reserve it.
yeah, I was still in my mind, she was ahead of me.
I would have pulled the wrong board.
Yeah, we redid hydraulics just on our farm tractor, and I paid the cost, it wasn't cheap, and it was just a small farm,
Yeah.
antique farm.
That has a lot of high pressure lines on it.
Yeah. All right, next thing on new business is, the microphones in the council room. Couple things is, again, we have a constant problem with the static and things like that, and we did not buy enough of them. Again, this was all bought with COVID funds, to help with broadcasting meetings during COVID, but since COVID's ended, it's still a nice thing to have because we're still broadcasting our meetings on our YouTube channel, correct? And so they're still essential, plus it's our official recording of the meeting, which beats the old tape players that we used to do that with statics and pops. So to upgrade to to get the additional microphones that we need and everything else, it's $950.70 to approve that. Again, it's within my limit to spend on myself, but I don't like spending money without your guys' approval. So do you guys have any problem with that? This does not need a vote because, again, it's within my spending limit, but again, I'd like to bring everything back.
Just be what?
We need 2 more, 3 more.
We need 2 more, but the system,
Yep.
the 950 is 8. The levels, they
Yeah.
go in groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
So include the new
So we
microphone.
have like receiver with 8 microphones
Yeah.
too, which would be nice because right now Katie and Sarah's volume's off, so
Right.
I'm not gonna hear anything that they say when you watch this recording.
Yeah.
Because it was the static one, because it needs new batteries. So it would be nice to have those extra to interchange when we have that issue. Or if there's multiple people up here, we can have more than one up here as well. So,
All right. Next thing, and this is beyond my spending limit, but the Bobcat that we purchased, again, we ordered it with just regular tires. We thought we would do well with that. However, because of how we use the Bobcat and where we use it, there's always things that are puncturing the tires constantly. So they're constantly fixing the tires on the Bobcat. They try their best to clean up the area, but again, as they're moving dirt, things like that, other things they brought up with it. So we got a quote on replacing those tires with the full rubber tires, solid tires. We did get a quote from Bobcat, and for the 4 tires, it is $4,299.52. However, you know our guys don't like spending money, so they kept looking and looking, and they finally found basically where Bobcat buys their stuff, which is McLaren, and they sell the exact same tire other than they're black versus orange, the Bobcat color, and they're $3,450. So, and the exact same model, everything. So, are you guys? And I will need a motion on this.
Are the boys able to install theirs?
Yes, because they actually come already on their rim and everything else.
Oh.
So just
I'll make a motion.
pop on. Bill made the motion.
to purchase them from McLean.
Yes, McLaren. Second. Second by Sarah. Roll call.
President Dumont?
Yes.
Councilman Mason?
Yes.
Councilman Pangborn?
Yes.
Councilman Harris? Yes. Councilman Morton? Yes. Councilman Henry?
Yes.
All right. Again, if you were here towards the end of our finance meeting, just to let you guys know, our CDs are maturing. 3 of them. We still have 1 in there. So we have 2 that are 2 for $100,000 that are maturing, and the interest on each one of those is $2,053.20. And then we have one $50,000 one. That the interest earned on that is $1,026.60. Instead of rolling them over, we're pulling them back in because again, we have our $850,000 blockchain payment due in August, and we just want to make sure we have all of our money back into our accounts at that time. The next CD is that $400,000 CD, $450,000, which is the loan amount, the loan money that we got reimbursed from the county, and we decided to double dip on that. That will be maturing next month, and then our payment is due right after that. So just information on that. We're not going to roll that over. There's no vote needed. All right.
You said you are rolling them over?
We are not rolling them over.
Not rolling them over. Thank you.
All right. And then just some updates with some meetings that I have going on. The 15th of July, I was with Williams Realty about the 125 acres for sale across the street from the school. There are some potential buyers that are developers for that. And I will not be meeting with the potential buyers because that is not public information yet, but I'll be meeting with the realtors to discuss possibilities and what all we can or cannot possibly provide in the future. On the 17th, we meet with Henry Company. Bob will be there. Casey and Tony will be there. I will probably be late because I have an MRI should be there at some point, just a heads up. So our water plant, we talked about that in last month. But our water plant, for what we have today, is fine, but any type of growth, we definitely need a bigger water plant. And our goal was to build a brand new water plant, but the problem with that is the design of the water plant is $500,000, a new build's 2 to 3, we don't have that type of money. So we're going to look at just expanding our current building and basically duplicating our current water plant. So we're going to skip the design phase, essentially, by doing it this way, and we're going to duplicate what we currently have. But also that means we're not upgrading technology, things like that. There is a downside to it, but it's what we can afford, possibly, and there's possibly grant money out there for that type of stuff. So more to come on that, but that's at least the next step on that. Also on the 17th at 6 p.m. I have the Mayor's Association meeting in Thurston. On the 18th we meet with Fairfield County Engineer's Office about speed limit signs in the village but in the county right away. So, like, for example, Richland Road, one side's 25, one side's 55, essentially. So to talk to them to see what courses, what they can do to bring that speed down, because again, it is a residential area, 55 is too much for that. Have a discussion with them. On the 25th of July, if you're more than welcome to come to it, I'm not sure if you got an email, if not, I'll forward it to you. Zoning code for the county. We want to participate and update our zoning code. The county is the bill for that, and that's our first meeting to officially start talking about it. And again, this is probably a year-long process before it even comes back to this table, because again, we're going to talk about it at the county level, based on township needs, village needs, city needs, and then once we get through all that, bring it back, and then it's kind of like an hour where you guys kind of pick what you guys want in your zoning code and what you don't want. And then the last thing I have is the bid opening on the 2nd of August here in this room for the Summit Street water line improvements. So that's what's going on in my life with the town currently until our next meeting. And from there, we'll go around the table. Katie? Sarah?
No.
Cory? Michelle? Bill? Bob?
We are done with the audit.
Okay.
But we have not heard anything back from them, so.
No news is good news.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're also a new firm for us.
Yes,
So
this is our first year with them.
I don't want to say no news is good news. It's just.
We haven't heard it from them.
All right. Anything else?
Nope.
All right. Sam?
Nope.
All right. Anyone else before I close the meeting? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Bill made the second.